This is Dolany TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I hope it's going well. It's 11:37 in the evening, and here I am thinking it's a good time to crack open another discussion for the night, and of course, pick up my butt so as I don't have to get out of bed so early tomorrow morning, Friday night. Enjoy a late night after going to bed 6:30 last night. So actually enjoy the evening for once. So this is something I've seen floated a couple of times already today and into the morning. I'm sure I'll see it a little bit more. Is the fact the Oilers are in a little bit of a situation they find themselves in here, as they've got a total of 45 contracts against the contract limit, depending on if those COVID loans on cap friendly count against anything. And then, of course, you've got the couple of deals with Anton Forsberg, Patrick Russell, and Alan Quine in the system as well. So there's a couple of things to note with the Oilers roster, and of course what I mean by things I've seen floated here recently today and into the morning is the fact the Oilers need to make a trade. Something will have to give simply because Ethan Bear remains unsigned, and you cannot have Ethan Bear remain unsigned going into the regular season whenever we indeed see that. So, where does that leave us? That leaves us, we need a trade. Something has to give. And unfortunately, as it currently stands, we have absolutely nothing to go on that says anything is going to give. Now, rightfully so, leaving Gaetan Oss or Joachim Nygaard in Europe, that's a potential, right? That's almost a foregone conclusion one of those two guys is staying over there, in my opinion, right? That it makes too much sense not to happen. But when you've got situations on the wings like you do at right wing, trying to find a spot for Alex Chiasson, who, I mean, yes, deadly on the power play, contributes up and down the lineup, great. But now you've got Yamamoto, you've got Zach Kassian, you've got Jesse Puljujärvi, and you'd like to have a spot for a younger guy in the lineup. Well, that's where you find yourself, right, needing to make a trade for Alex Chiasson. It's simple. You got James Neal on the right wing too, depending if you use him there or on the left side. Josh Archibald, not to mention. So you got all these guys, and you can make a lot of cases for everyone. Chiasson's my favorite case to make because there's value there to be had compared to most of the other guys, and it's also the easiest ship out, considering you can't ship Josh Archibald because he's integral to your penalty kill. Jujhar Khaira, to an extent, is integral to your penalty kill. James Neal, you're not moving that boat anchor contract for anything other than another boat anchor contract that then you have the same situation, or, right, nobody's taking the cap space, and buyout is not an option in the least. Even anybody that sits here and argues with me about a buyout, you got to clear your head and realize the Oilers still have cap against things for years on end here. We've got Andrei Sekera and Milan Lucic counting $2.25 million against our cap for the next 3 years. You can't afford to be spending more on dead players than that. I'm sorry, you can't. And then okay, right? Where do you go other than that? Well, you can't trade Kyle Turris, Tyler Ennis, you just re-signed, everybody else on one-year deals, Zach Kassian. You're not just going to trade him after signing him to that deal and not give him a chance to prove himself, right? Zach Kassian's an integral part of the Oilers' top six. Even if he's in the top nine, he's still an impact player based on now having Kyle Turris on the third line to allow him to drive the net and crash in pucks. Simple is as simple does. So, on the defense, you've got Darnell Nurse, Oscar Klefbom, Adam Larson, Chris Russell, Tyson Barrie, Caleb Jones, Ethan Bear. You're not dealing any of those guys. You simply aren't. So you're really down to a list of guys up front in Josh Archibald, maybe, but when have any of us seen that floated? And same thing as Kassian. We just gave him a multi-year deal to be an integral part of this team on a special teams role. You're not trading him, so it's Jujhar Khaira or Alex Chiasson easily in our minds, unless there's something else crazy going on. But where on this roster do you see any other moves that don't hamper us worse than what we're in the situation now? Right? You need to basically dump salary for a pick. That's the only trade the Oilers have in the tank right now, unless there's some multiplayer deal where you trade Chason and Jujhar Khaira for somebody that equals only $1 million. Okay, fine, there you go. But look at the made up wonderland solutions we're trying to come up with as soon as we go from player for pick, right? All of a sudden, it's all about craziness, and we don't have that room to play with, so we need to figure out what to do. And the simplest solution is Jujhar Khaira or Alex Chiasson. Two guys I absolutely love. They are what the Oilers are about, right? Is guys that play up and down the lineup, and say what you will about Jujhar being inconsistent. He's a guy that plays very well on the second line with Nugent Hopkins. If he's engaged and playing physically on the wings, that guy is a legit threat playing with a Nugent Hopkins. Now, whether it be for 2 games or 4 games, you make up your mind. But, right, that potential is there for him. So, yeah, you know what? I like what he does. He's willing to engage in fisticuffs. He's willing to hit. He's willing to play defense on the penalty kill. It's all great. No complaints. But the inconsistencies in the $1.2 million contract, you can get that 7th round pick and you can free that up and you get Ethan Bear in there at 1.2 and you're laughing. Or you free up Chiasson and potentially, right, now you sign Bear, and if somehow contracts work out, you can find room for another guy, and yeah, suddenly, you know what, there you go. You got 2-for-1 deal and a pick back. And probably a value pick at a 5th rounder or a 4th rounder, realistically, for Chiasson, as opposed to a 7th for Jujhar Khaira, who is really on a show improved year after a down year with the Oilers. So, right, you see this? There's 2 good cases to be made there. And Chiasson, I didn't defend him as an Oiler, right? Guy that plays up and down the lineup, power play specialist, right-hand shot on the power play, big physical guy when engaged. There's a lot to like there as well, but again, inconsistency and sometimes a lack of engagement. Well, where does that leave you, right? Is 2 good options to move a contract and move out money, and you can really do damage if you do it right? Is if you can get a 2-for-1 for Chiasson, in essence of getting a pick and signing Bear and another player, suddenly we're talking, we're laughing. And end of the day, where these trades happen, I mean, guys, every time we try to think Ken Holland can't pull off the impossible, he does. So end of the day, I'm not too concerned. We know what our options are, but if he ends up trading Adam Larsson for a 3rd pair defenseman and a 2nd round pick, oh my goodness, right there's your solution, right? A guy that's making $1.5 million and a 2nd round pick, that's a pretty good haul for Adam Larsson, banged up as he might be after all these years since the Hall trade. Yeah, we could take that. We could work with that, and we could really make something go there. So, right, hey, all of a sudden, but that's a Wonderland solution. That's all it is a Wonderland solution. Yes, is Ken Holland capable of pulling something like that off? 100% he is. But outside of Jujhar Khaira and Alex Chiasson for picks, everything else is a Wonderland solution at this point, because, you know what? End of the day, there's no other hockey trades to be really made under the scope of what the Oilers roster is and is trying to get to be, right? Is Jujhar Khaira, you can't take a player back because A, you can't take a contract, and B, you need to sign Bear for that money, so you have to take no money back, i.e. a pick. Or with Chiasson, you have to take less than half the money back, but can you even afford that contract? From what I'm getting from certain sites, no. Yes, from others, but you have to only take a player that's worth 700 to 900,000, so they have that 1.2 for Bear, right? And I mean, I guess complicate it further is the fact that the Oilers are indeed $242,000 over the cap. So I guess in either trade, Bear's getting 900,000 at most once you clear the cap and get back negative below the ceiling. Well, okay, now suddenly, yeah, Chiasson, the most he can take is a $700,000 player, and Bear gets like $975,000. Okay, well, complications are, and that is where I get to those discussions about everything else a Wonderland trade. Because, right, you can do the bare minimum and get the job done, sure, but everything else is to be determined, because, guys, we have not seen a trade in the NHL since Vegas and Vancouver made that deal for Braden McNabb. That's the last trade we saw in the NHL, and that's a long time ago. So we are in the deep, dark, cold days of the off season. That feels weird to say. And, well, yeah, here we find ourselves really struggling to find a solution for what the Oilers need here in the last couple of days, hopefully, before we get something determined for an NHL season. So guys, right? Oilers trades, that's great to hear it's cropping up again that we need to do it, but we've needed to do it all off season long. So how far ahead are we just talking about it? No further, but you've got the basis, you've got the information reinforced. Let's see what you come up with. I'm Tyson, this is Stolany TV. Have a good sleep, or if you're not sleeping tonight, if you're working the midnight shift, you let me know. I'll cheers you in the morning and hopefully wish you a good night at 7 in the morning. Guys, I'm Tyson Dolany TV, up on out of here.